Good morning, buenos dias y bon dia. Today we will be discussing something that is really shaking up the industry as we speak. Sports sponsorship is at a digital crossroads. In 2023, sports sponsorship, the global sports sponsorship has exceeded, for the first time ever, exceeded more than 100 billion US dollars. 5 years from now, in 2030, what do you guys reckon, where will we be then? Give me some numbers. 100 million last year. It will double. In the next 5 years, this will double. So we will look at a global sponsorship market of 200 billion. However, there's one thing that is really staring us in the face, and technology is changing the sports sponsorship industry. And it's not happening tomorrow, it's happening now and it's happening today. It's going digital and it's going performance driven. It's not about eyeballs and branding anymore, it's about returning on investment. And I'm now joined by someone who's been digging into this shift in the last few years. He's been working with federations, he's been working with clubs, he's been working with brands to transform this shift. Let's welcome to the stage the CEO and founder of Writers, Martin Gruber.
Thank you, Philip.
Thanks for joining me, Martin, all the way from Switzerland.
Thank you, Philip.
You're an edtech startup.
Yes.
Just last week, you've announced that you're part of the Basel Innovation Hub.
That's right.
That's an amazing opportunity. But it's not only an opportunity, there's also an elephant here that we have to talk about, a $1 trillion elephant in this room. What is the elephant?
Well, the elephant is a great opportunity that we want to carve out a little bit more. So if we look at what Philip just said, is that the sponsorship market is growing. These numbers are well known and everyone talks about it. But then the question is like, what are the parts of that sponsorship? And there's the digital side of it. And we need to look at this because there's also an edtech market that's growing very fast and that's mainly digital. So if we look at our numbers, and there's not so much great data out there at the moment, and we are trying to get very precise on that. So what is the current digital sponsorship market in sports, right? So there's a number here, 13 billion out of that 100 billion that we talked about. And 2030, this number will probably be 5 times larger than today. So now that's already presents a challenge for all the sports clubs, the leagues, and even athletes that have joined the digital game is how do I participate from that growth? So that sponsorship growth that Philip mentioned is partly or mainly driven by digital growth. Now here it comes, the elephant, or the biggest opportunity is, now let's look at the adtech market in general. At the moment, the digital adtech market is 700 billion and will exceed 1 trillion in the next 5 years. So, how big is the digital ad spend or the digital sponsorship market in 5 years in sports? Huh? So yes, there will be an increase in market share, if you want, from 13 billion to 63 billion, but in total, the question is why are brands not spending even more on sports? So we looked into that. In fact, we created a whole business now out of this to help the whole industry to tap into that budget. At the end of the day, it's simple. We just don't want to talk to the sponsorship managers at brand who hold the sponsorship budgets. No, we want to talk to the digital marketeers and the media buying agencies and media buying departments in the brands who currently buy advertising, not only in sports, but somewhere else.
The way brands buy media has completely changed in the last 10 years, obviously. It's gone programmatic, it's digital, it's trackable, it's automated buying. When we look at sponsorship, there seems to be some sort of problem, however, because sponsorship is really still very personal driven, very slow. It's hard to measure the ROI. But hands down, how big is this problem really? Is there a problem?
Yeah, the problem is big because the money is spent somewhere else. And so we have seen this growth of digital sponsorship in sports, but that means it's not going to happen just like that. So you need to compete with many players, and they're the biggest players out there, which we all know as Google and Meta. But there are other emerging channels, and retail media is one of them. we've heard just in the previous talk about new ecosystems emerging. Brands are driving the sports market. Brands have expectations. So retail media is a good example because that's already now a 100 billion plus market, and retail media is nothing else than that the retailers allow their brands to advertise on their channels, and they take a premium from it, right? It's high margin business for retailers. The brands doing that in retail media are the same brands that are sponsoring sports. The standards in retail media are double or triple of that what's happening in sports ad tech sponsorship today. So it's just a matter of time that these brands will say, hey, I want to have the same standards in sports sponsorship. So we want to set up a service and a system to help tap into the digital ad budget and not just give it to those players.
You're mentioning those players. We're seeing Meta and Google up on the big screen. It sounds very easy. I ask myself, why aren't clubs or federations, why aren't rights holders behaving like Google ads? Why aren't they just setting up the Google ads of sports?
Well, it's hard. I know a lot of great organizations that do ad tech very well, but they don't win football games. So let's stick with what everyone is good at, and sport clubs are very good at their games, and we have seen there's lots of challenges and lots of new competition. So let's use some technology and some smart services to help leagues and clubs to catch up. The reason why brands are not spending so much at sport is very simple, right? It's not so convenient. It's still an old-fashioned business, emails, phone calls, and a lot of Excel tables, big contracts, big negotiations, and digital is very often part of this big contracts, sometimes given away. Yeah, we see this all the time. There's a post here and a post there. I'm not talking just at top clubs. I'm not talking about McLaren, done a fantastic job at digital sponsorship. I'm talking about probably the top, like 100,000 clubs, right? That we actually want to serve with our approach. So just to say why brands are not engaging, it's because it's not programmatic enough. It's not easy to buy. There's a lack of targeting, right? So you have, in sports, there are audiences all over the place, but you don't know your audiences. You have stadiums full of people. You have enormous following, but people are hardly known. This first-party data that's so important, for example, in retail media, is not something that's systematically collected in sports, which makes targeting a bit more difficult. And then, of course, this instant data and return of advertising spend is something brands want. So how do we get to that status to give brands what they want?
I mean, that's the question, right? So let's say the rights holder took the next step. They get better at digital selling. They get better at measuring. They get better at managing their data. Mm-hmm. What exactly can they then monetize? What is it that we're looking at here?
Well, the monetization opportunity is what we call a media network. And a media network is driven by mainly two things. One is your channels, and the other one is your audiences. So you need to do your homework on your channels. Let's say if you focus on digital, then it's clear. But then you also need to look at audiences. Combine audiences, ensure you segment them. Brands want segments, brand wants targets, locally, demographically, and so on. You have, if you have a media network, you have a central place where you organize that. You have a place where you can run campaigns through all your channel all at once, right? So you need to have your tech stack organized to allow that. Otherwise, it gets very cumbersome to run multiple campaigns across multiple channels, and I'm sure that in the room are some people who are affected by this on a daily basis because suddenly your complexities go up. And those channels here, if you, for example, have a programmatic or technical approach, you can say, so how well are we booked, right? Are we booked well or not? And what can we do to actually monetize our channels? I just want to point out one example here on this table. You have the organic post, right? Everyone in sports is obsessed with posting good content. There's lots of things happening on game day, player of the day, great scene review. All of that is currently produced and happening, and it's posted. But that's not enough. In retail media, for example, the game is actually paid campaigns, right? So in all our work that we have done around the globe, or in most regions, we have only seen about 5% of rights holders that do paid and co-branded campaigns with brands. So the example here is that if you invest in a social media campaign that is paid, you have a much wider reach, you can better target, and you arrive at way more fans than just with a post. So we can go in more detail in that another time, but the paid campaigns is gold for brands because it allows a lot of transactions and allows for them to advertise also transactionable offers and services. So which goes into a direction what we hear now from some clubs, hey, how do we do e-commerce, right? Or just look at retail media. It's allowing people to actually transact and buy through the campaigns that are running. And that is another monetization opportunity because you're not just selling a sponsorship space, you're actually participating in commercial transactions that are provided through these campaigns. Of course, you will say, well, we don't want to overload our fans. Yeah, you're right. The content has to be very good, it has to be relevant, so that fans, when they go through their journeys, like what they see.
Martin, it sounds like to become this modern rights holder, it sounds like it's a pretty big project. Do rights holders now have to hire 50 new people to execute this, or how does it look?
Well, they can, but they already have a great team, most of them. But let technology and the internet work for you, right? There's great technology out there that can help you in that journey. But the most important thing is focus on a media network and the inventory. Manage your inventory, make sure you know your channels, the digital channels specifically, and anticipate what is my digital channel strategy for the next 1 or 2 years. It takes some time to develop new digital channels. We've heard before about also the integration of OTT and all of that. That's another challenge because that's not in your full control, but it can be still integrated as an offer. So you have to make it easy for brands to buy, right? Which means programmatic fulfillment is the game. So yes, you will have your big sponsorship contracts and all that is good, but there is so much on a more granular basis. So if you productize sponsorship and make it easy to sell and technically available, brands will buy. And then of course, the platform helps to run through these campaigns, and the data are going to be there for the rights holders and the brands instantly, and that's what brands want. It's real-time performance tracking.
So you said we need to make it easy. There are a lot of clubs and rights holders here in the audience today. If they enjoy this conference more today and then they go back to the office tomorrow, what is the first thing to do? What is the first step to tap into this $1 trillion industry of media?
Well, that's the point where I say they could call us, right?
That's a good phone. We put your phone number later on, so maybe that's an idea.
We have a booth downstairs, so you can visit. No, but it's really, obviously this is a team approach, this is also a strategic approach. Is to say, okay, where are we in this journey? Because everyone is working already in that direction, right? What does our tech stack look like, and what do we need to do? But sometimes it's also easy to run a pilot, right? So take a piece of technology, take a service, work with your agency and say, I want to try that out. I want to explore more to basically create and offer digital offerings. Because it's like in digital world, it's all about testing and experimenting, running A/B tests and so on. The same thing here, just try it out and see what you can do, because you have existing sponsorship contracts today, but you might have markets that are overlooked, non-exclusive markets with a big fan base that can be approached through a campaign. You might say, okay, we have actually a big following on Facebook. We have never done a paid Facebook campaign. Why don't we offer a small pilot to a brand, and that's how you get into the game, right? And you don't have to do everything at once. I mean, I could have a whole talk about the underutilization of website banners. Such a simple topic, but missed opportunities across the whole industry when we look at it in more detail, right? Just as an example.
That, to me, that sounds like a big structural change. And obviously, software integration can be a bit scary sometimes. We've all heard of, 6 years of SAP integration and Microsoft changes. You're burning through 3 CTOs in the same time. How long does it take, to test this out maybe? Like what time frame are we looking at?
Well, a pilot is easy. That's you can do in a 1 or 2 months. To then develop your channels, that takes a bit longer. Usually you're going through these 3 phases here. Activate is in analyze your inventory, analyze your audiences, combine audiences, set up processes to capture first-party data, create offerings, right? And most importantly, price it well, right? Digital items in the industry are not priced very well. What's the value of one sponsored post today, right? It's usually packaged up, but if you take it out and you start productizing it, it actually can create a much bigger revenue opportunity than it is today. So that's what we call activation here. The next thing is connect, as in offer it to brands. Use technology that brands find you. Brands are looking for good advertising opportunities all the time. They're looking to reach the sport audiences. They love sport audiences. They want to engage with them. But they need to be able to measure, because they need to justify why they just spent another 50 or 100K on a digital campaign with a sport audience. And then the delivery has to be frictionless and flawless, and technology can help you with that. All that takes a bit of time to set up, but the quick wins can be achieved very quickly so that you get a better feel. And as I said, everyone is on this journey already, and but there's no reason not to accelerate it with all the tools and the services that are available to do this.
And tell us, is your tech live already, or are these all ideas?
No, we are live. We have a connecting platform. We're matching rights holders with brands with a lot of tech and algorithms that find the right brands for rights holders, so we have that running. We have ways to present rights holders in the right way to brands. We have brand affinity analysis so that the right brands are detected. For that we have outreach teams that help rights holders to find right brands. So it's very often unusual things are popping up, right, when you do this analysis. So what other brands is my audience connected to, right? So if you do this technically and algorithmically, you find a lot of new insights and new pathways to reach out to new brands, and then of course it's new markets, right? So we have that. We can then of course offer things to brands in a way that like a marketplace would do, and then it's the delivery. So once a brand buys a campaign, it's very important that this gets delivered well. So we talked about the flawless execution. So we are using actually a platform here in technology out of retail media. The platform we're using is probably churning out $50,000 to $60,000 booking per day at the moment. So it's a proven technology of brands buying retail media. And we have adjusted that platform to sports, which means campaign can be run at any time. But here the focus is on is it the right campaign, right, and which brands are running them. The trick here is that you onboard the brands onto the platform. So you let the brands also work. It's a self-serve platform where the brands upload their campaigns, and the job of a rights holder is just to review it and approve it. Which means the brands become part of your ecosystem to run digital campaigns, not just buy them. And that helps with the delivery, because also the platform then gives back data and reports. We always say you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're good at the game. The brands are very good at the digital game, by the way. So bring them in, right? Not just technology, but also work with the brands. We saw this in the previous talk where we're saying the whole new ecosystems are created in sports, brand driven, right? this is not much different, just on a more tactical level.
Maybe let's not go to the full demo here now. If they want to receive a demo, you have a booth. You're part of the BI Hub
That's
booth
right.
in Hall 8.0, not even 500 meters from here. And you're here all day and all week, so people can
Until Thursday.
slide tackle you like a good...
Well, we have also a team here. It's not just me, and we're happy to welcome you, of course, if you want to have a look under the hood.
Look under the hood is good. Let's look under the hood a bit now. Let's hear it from the audience. Are there any questions out there, any comments? Who has maybe experience with this, who comes from another industry, has experience with digital media? Are there any questions from the audience at this point? Now is your chance.
You know, they say silence is agreement. You've heard that from, so.
So silence is agreement. I have one more question, because
Sure.
what always comes to, we talk about these big brands. We talk about Barcelona, which is one of the biggest football brands in the world, maybe the best one. They have an amazing coach. Me being German, I love him very much. Is this only relevant for the big rights holders in the world? Is it only for the global brands, for the Barcelonas, for the Manchester Cities of the world, or is this for everyone?
Yeah. No, actually, if you look at the partnership that we have with FC Barcelona and the Venture Hub now, the focus is clearly to make this platform and technology available to a broader base in sport, and not just football, but across many sports. And therefore, yes, we will work with top clubs, right, like Barca and others, but we know that the bigger body, right, of medium to large clubs, they don't have all the resources, but they have the same problems, right? And we are building this technology and platform for this broader body, right, of these clubs. And maybe later in 2 or 3 years, we're going to look at the long tail, at really grassroots, but that's when further automation has happened. So that's the essence of also the partnership. It's not just for the top clubs. And we want to use this a little bit like our Formula One approach, right? So we're developing product and commercial approach on the highest level, right? And then drive it down through the industry.
Martin, thank you for coming all the way here from Switzerland and Australia. Thank you, the audience in the room, for listening. Thank you for all the viewers online around the world. Have a great day today, and see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.